So after I really broke apart those pieces of debate and analyzed them, figured out how they connected, how they could apply to me, I really started to engage in the role and concept of debate. I started to formulate new ways to create my arguments. I learned better ways to organize my evidence, to do better kinds of research, and it really helped me take away a new way of looking at how to present my arguments, both in policy debate formally as well as my own kind of essays for class. Even in terms of how I argue with my friends. Yeah, I wasn't like, okay, doing research and creating, you know, a diss ad or something like that for my friends, but all those terminologies and kind of processes that are involved in the formula of argument in debate helped me see how I was interacting with my friends. So I really took away a lot from the process of debate, not necessarily the debate itself, but the process of it. And that's something that was really exciting. So I also decided to interview my friend Sarah, who was a new debater like me, and to see what kinds of new things that she learned from debate. So here she is. So when you started debate, I'm assuming there were some different parts of the process. What were one of the most foreign parts of debate to you when you started?
I would have to say that the lingo was pretty foreign. My professor and other people in the class who had debated before were using words that I had never really come across in such an argumentation sort of context, and words like topicality and flow, these were things that were foreign to me, and I didn't quite understand the implications of how they could either help or hurt me in the debate if I didn't understand what they were. So I think that at first it was a little intimidating, but as I read the textbook and started debating, I began to understand how I could use those words to my advantage.
Great. So there was definitely an element of this kind of jargon that, you know, like topicality and disad and solvency and fiat that was definitely kind of confusing. And you mentioned using the textbook and just practice that helped you kind of just get familiar with those.
Absolutely.
Sure. So then now that you have those kind of terms kind of in your arsenal to take on to the debate, how did you start preparing for debates?
Well, I think what I needed to do was really research my evidence and be familiar with my evidence, because if I didn't know my evidence, then I couldn't know what I was talking about, and it would all kind of digress into something emotional or figurative and something that wasn't grounded in actual evidence, which is very important in debate. If you don't have specific claims that can support your larger plan, then you start to babble, and it really just isn't an effective debate.
That almost sounds like, you know, when a teacher's teaching how to like write a thesis paper, you have to have an evidence to back up your claim. But when you're saying evidence in a debate, though, is that, what exactly do you mean by that? Is that kind of, are there like note cards you prepare with all the points you're going to make, or is there kind of a research process involved?
Well, for my class, because I was a beginning debater, we were provided links that had pre-flowed evidence, which means that there were people who had done debates similar to the kind that I was going to do, and they had researched and put together this plan and this whole entire debate with their evidence already. So I was able to reference that evidence to use. But in real debate, debaters would be responsible for, you know, knowing the topic that they're going to be debating and also doing the research either for or against whatever the plan is that they're debating. So it is a lot of work, and you really have to look for evidence that will support with numbers and statistics whatever you are trying to argue for in your debate. If you don't have evidence, then it's really hard to be effective.
Sure, absolutely. Wow, so this sounds pretty different, I guess, from like a normal, maybe in-class debate you'd have in history class or something like that. Sure. And so taking, you know, away from this process, what are some of those skills you feel like you are kind of carrying with you after a debate, outside of debate? Is it this research? Is it, I don't know, knowledge about solar-powered buildings? What is it?
I mean, I think I have definitely learned more about the energy policy debate than I would have known before this class, which is kind of interesting. But overall, I think I developed speaking skills, which is wonderful. I think I also was able to kind of focus on my organization and practice organization, because you have to be very organized in debate. You have to know your evidence, you have to know how you're going to address the points that your opponent is bringing up. You have to be able to think on your toes and improvise, but you also have to be very organized, or else your improvisation isn't going to work. So I think I definitely learned several skills from debating, and it was a wonderful experience.
Great, thank you.